Adam and Luke from New Way Growth. We're going to have a quick chat around social media, covering some of the basics and branding and social listening and that side. So I'll kick off. Social media for me, one of the most powerful ways to connect with your audience and potential prospects. The thing for me is really knowing who your ideal customer is. So one of the exercises that, and everybody goes on about it, and there is a reason everybody goes on about it, is knowing your customer avatar and customer persona. What I will say, caveat for me though, is social media doesn't replace the other inbound marketing channels you've got. So like public relations and networking and podcasting and things like that. It's just an extension of it. So you shouldn't stop those and replace it with social media. It's a bit of both. Any thoughts, Luke?
Yeah, I think it's spot on, mate. Early doors. I agree completely with what you just said. Social media is definitely something which everybody should be doing alongside everything else. If anything that the last 12 months or 18 months have shown us is that having an online presence is vital to keeping your business's name out there, informing people about what's going on within your business, allowing people to know any new products and services or any way you've adapted. Basically, just getting yourselves out there and giving your ideal customers, as you said, the right information and the right tools, I guess, to make an effective decision when it comes to purchasing products and services from your market.
Yeah, and that leads me into saying as well is because I often hear, and I think I even read on a email from Andrew and Pete saying, or some social media people, gurus, I think, saying that social media is all about being social. No, it's not. That is one part of it. The social media is ultimately around, from a business perspective, around getting sales. And the thing for me is it's around, we come back to that customer value journey. So awareness, engage, subscribe, convert, excite, ascend into advocate and promote, advocate and promote. And social media fits in to some of those channels from an awareness, engage, subscribe, advocate and promote point of view. So your messaging needs to be leading these your prospects down that path. It's not just about being social. That's just one part of it.
I think you're right.
Anything else, Luke?
Yeah, I think on that point there, mate, about customer journey and all that terminology which gets thrown around, but like you said, is really important. Social media for about awareness. If somebody is searching for a business like yours or products and services like yours, the first thing is just having a social media presence allows them to become aware that you do those products and services. They can see visually and get some information about those products and services that you do. And then, like you said, then they're then considering you within their decision-making process. As well as that, further along the journey, if somebody knows they're in the market and knows you're one of their options, it's then about using your posts to educate people on your products and services, and also moving them down the funnel even further, whether that's sending them to a specific landing page on your website, whether that's wording posts and content specifically for them, depending on what stage of the journey they're at. So, some decisions, if there's a business that's got a large high ticket item, for example, or high ticket service, that decision doesn't get made based off one social media post. People need a long time to process that and learn all the details about that product and service. And I think social media can do that. And like you said, back to the start again, as long as you've defined who your target audience is and who the people you're looking to target, you can build out that journey. You know exactly what they're going to be looking for at each stage, and you can manage your social media around that.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you're saying, the customer value journey, although you've got those stages, 8, 9 stages or whatever it is, one message could cover. Ideally, you might want one message per stage as you're planning it out, but you can actually use one message that may cover awareness, engage, and subscribe because of how you've done your copy and your content in doing that. So that one message can cover those 3 stages and gain a subscription. I suppose that from there leads on to the channels and platforms from a discussion point of view. For me, it's around just understanding. It comes back to that customer avatar as to where your ideal prospects and people are hanging out, and use those channels. Try not to be master of all.
Absolutely. It doesn't work like that, does it, mate? As we know, if you're a B2B business, then the obvious one that springs to mind is LinkedIn. Perfect for those business contacts, perfect for your target audience in terms of people on there who will be searching for a business like yours. They're likely to be your customers because they're going to LinkedIn and searching for that from that business specifically. So, for that platform, the tone and the copy is going to be a lot different to something like an Instagram, for example, which could be for a B2C business. Very visual, for example, if it's an arts-based business, something along those lines, where it relies a lot on the visual content rather than the written content that maybe a LinkedIn user may be looking for. And then, like you said, then it's completely different depending on the platform. So tweaking that copy on Instagram to maybe a slightly shorter, less informative, but letting the images do the work there, and really getting across your brand within that image content or video content, whatever it is. Whereas on LinkedIn, you may, with B2B, look to use more text and words to describe your business and really adhere to those target customers on there.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, get your channels right, get your platforms right that you want to get on, and get it and master, one or two at the start off, and then build out as you get confident, I suppose, on that. The next one then for me is when you're doing this is, as you pick your channels, is establishing your brand and making your brand stand out. So colors, logo. If I look at this, I mean, I'm using free Restream here at the minute because I'm testing Restream out, so it's not allowing me to put a backdrop in there with the logo. So I would normally have a backdrop in here with a logo, my colors of the gold and the white and the black together. I'd have a link URL posted on there, and a USP as well, normally, where the black frame of this sort of like stream is going out. But as I
Yeah.
say, because I'm using Restream, and because I'm on the free, I'm not using it. So again, it's establishing that brand, tone, voice, colors, fonts. What's your thoughts again, Luke, on it?
Yeah, obviously, like again, that's all absolutely correct, and maybe some more subtle things such as wording or even just quality of certain images just portray what your brand's all about. Social media, yes, it can be seen as a bit of a gimmick sometimes, but from our point of view, it's not that at all. It actually is a really powerful tool, as we've talked about before, and getting all of those things right. What you put on social media does represent your business at the end of the day. So it's always got to be well thought out. It's always got to be well done copy, high quality images, etc. Getting your brand across, because the first impression that someone may have coming across your business may be on social media, and if it is a sentence or two with a lot of spelling mistakes or a poor quality image, that might be the last time that someone ever engages with your business. Whereas the opposite effect could be if you've got a great copy on your posts, you've got great powerful images and video, and really enticing people at that awareness stage of the customer journey, then they're likely to come back and maybe view some more posts, go onto your website, etc. So having your brand and what your brand stands for across social media is really important.
Yeah, and that needs to be congruent throughout the platforms as well. So the same, so you're
Exactly.
portraying the same.
Yeah, and
So
again, Adam, it's some businesses may have different customers, different groups of customers that they want to target. Certain services might have different customer avatars, and you can adapt the copy and adapt the images, adapt the brand across those platforms, but always keeping it consistent so that somebody can see that yes, this is this company's brand. We can see by the colors, we can see by the tone of the message, but also that's then been adapted for an Instagram, for example, with less words and more visual representation, or for a LinkedIn where it's a bit more educational and less reliant on those images.
yeah, absolutely. And again, when I was thinking back around that, one of the hardest, coming back to that customer value journey, one of the hardest sort of like placements is in the awareness stage, because people don't know us. So getting that branding so we can be spotted and stand out. So
Yeah.
people do get engaged with it, and again we get into that engagement side of it, which then again, as you were saying there, I suppose we come on to the social listening as we were talking around the engagement, and that social listening is key. And when I look at this, I also look at the research that we put into this, because I think if you're gonna, one of the main keys to having an excellent social media strategy is doing the research on the channels, the competitors, the hashtags.
Hmm.
So you're beginning to listen and see and understand what it is you're ideal customers are looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, thoughts?
Yeah, well, absolutely, mate. And on that as well, the ultimate goal for social media, like we've touched on, is to get those customers to start using your business. So finding out what posts or what kind of posts they're engaging with within your industry, and maybe trying to replicate some of those concepts within your own strategy is a good idea to do. The times that your customers are online, again, we've got some research on that, like you said, and we tend to structure, depending on the platform, our scheduling and posting around certain times which perform better across those platforms. And also the engagements of some posts. We spend time tracking the effectiveness over the months of certain posts and how well they've done, how well certain hashtags led to certain engagements, what posts are getting more click throughs, what call to action, things like that. And that's a social listening there in terms of taking what you've done, learning from it based on how your customers or potential customers are reacting with those posts, and then trying to optimize that moving forward.
Yeah, and I think the ultimate goal, I suppose, with and I suppose this comes in with the creating content is focusing. As I say, I'll put it in a negative term. If you're not focusing on your target audience and what's valuable to them, your efforts are wasted. So again, your
Exactly.
social listening and monitoring is key in enabling you to do that.
Absolutely.
From a social management point of view, again, then that brings us down to the creating content. I think the number one thing for me here is start off with what goal is it you're trying to achieve,
Yeah,
and that
absolutely.
goes with a campaign and an advertising campaign or an advertising run of messages within social media as well. What goal is it you're trying to achieve at the end of it?
Yeah, and I think as well, mate, congruence as well. Like in terms of, we just touched on the brand in the previous point. If you're posting on social media and sending somebody to a website which looks completely different and is worded completely different to the post they've just seen on social media, there might be a disconnect there straight away. So your content always has to be across all platforms and not just social media, your website as well, because ultimately that's your sort of online shop front, so to speak, isn't it? So I know we spend a lot of time, looking at people's websites, what content is there on there that will be useful for their target customers who haven't viewed their website yet, who we could potentially attract on social media. And it is about keeping that congruence throughout, and making sure that what you are doing is with the ultimate goal of getting customers further down the line.
Yeah, and the content as well. When we come back to content, people use a different ratio. I use an 80-10-10, so 80% of it will be inbound, 10% of it will be a personal side. So it could be a quote, it could be a behind the scenes shot, or just a general something that's close to you. I mean, I posted one on Sunday because I was doing my head in working on a 3D printer. And decided to do an upgrade, and I just posted it on there in my frustration, just having a bit of break. And people interact with that, so it's a bit of a personal side as well. And then 10% from a sales side. I think we get hung up sometimes within the social media and online in the sales side and get bothered about putting stuff out there that sales. At the end of the day, from a business perspective, we're there to make sales, and we're looking for people to engage with us
Yeah,
and lead people down that path. So don't be afraid of the selling side. Just
no,
don't overdo it.
yeah,
I mean, do
exactly.
you when you do the ratio, I use the 80-10-10 rule. What do you use from your point of view when you do it?
For me, it's focusing on a lot of educational things. I think digital marketing is one of those fields where a lot of people maybe don't understand what's going on. So maybe educating people around the services or the perceived issues with digital marketing as a whole, and how potentially those customers can avoid that. Again, updates on the work that we're doing. Again, that's another thing that's really important. But I think the personal side of things, you're spot on, because for, again, depends on your client base. If you're dealing with the types of customers that want that personal relationship with you as a service provider, then giving that ratio of 10% of that personal side could be the difference between them using you or not, because they are looking for that. So again, it's just about, goes back to what you said at the start, Adam. It's all about finding out what your customers actually do like, and what they're going to be looking for when they're making their decisions, and changing it. Like I said, 80-10-10 is absolutely fine. Completely different for certain businesses. So again, it's just about finding the balance, isn't it?
It is, yeah, about finding the back, and that's again where that social listening and social monitoring comes in. because I don't believe many people do actually listen, monitor around their social media, what's working, what's not, and changing it up. And on that social listening side, I was doing, just before we were doing this live, I was looking at the data from, I think it was Social Sprout, that say that about 83% of respondents like it when brands,
Turn the phones on silent.
respond to questions.
Yeah.
And 68% like it when brand join in on conversations as well. So I find that interesting as well from that point of view. And I think, what was the other one though? 48% of customers make a purchase with a brand who is responsive to its customers and prospects on social media. And
Yeah.
I thought there were some interesting stats.
Yeah,
I think
that again goes back to that sort of branding, doesn't it? Are you looking for a business who offers good customer support, who's always in touch with their customers, who's always wanting to learn and improve? And by doing that on social media, by engaging with your customers, you're showing that side to your business, which a lot of businesses aren't doing for their customers. And again, that's going to give you an edge. And again, those values, if your brand holds that in high regard and puts customers first in everything that you do within your services, and that comes across on social media, that's only going to be a positive thing for you moving forward, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing I will say, and has an effect, we've proved this time and time and again with the clients that we have on the social media management side, is that routines and consistency gets the results. So you can see the shift in impressions, engagements, link clicks when you become consistent and you put a strategy in place. That's just a short from me and Luke talking a little bit around social media. By all means, if you want to know more or want some support with this, get in contact with us. We do everything from a digital marketing strategy, pay-per-click advertising, and social media management. And if you want a session discussing around your social media, get in touch. Thanks for your time, Luke. Great.
No worries, Adam. Thanks for having me.
And thanks to everyone that's joined in and liked the stream so far.